Hey, this is Callan with Integral Lifestyle Design. Today I want to talk to you about a hypothetical guide to male life. Because I think a lot of men are like stuck on a female timeline. I want to get you into the male timeline. So this is a hypothetical way that you could live as a man. Doesn't mean you have to live like this. You can live however you want to live. But this is just one idea. This is like a guideline from birth until death, the full journey of a male life. What would be a cool way to do it, in my personal opinion? This doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, but this is a way to do it that I believe would have some tremendous value. And this is sort of what I guess I'm looking at least at 26 years old. This is how I'd imagine a really cool life would look. So, alright, in my opinion, there's 5 phases to life. This is just a lens or a way of looking at it. So I've broken it into 5. I've got growing up. Growing up is from birth until the age of 18. Then I've got the grind. The grind is from 18 until 30. Then I've got the male advantage. The male advantage is from 30 until 40. Then I've got the family and legacy period. That's from 40 until 60. Then I've got spiritual and transcendence, which is 60 plus. We'll get a little deep in the spiritual transcendence part of this. But they are the 5 phases I believe that pretty much every man could go through in their life. And ideally, if you do all these, you're going to live a fantastic life. Difficult, it'll be hard, but it'll be awesome, it'll be rewarding. So the first one we have got growing up, 0 to 18. Now, there's a lot of kids watching self-improvement stuff, and I think at that age, maybe it's important, maybe you can get ahead, but at the same time, I think it's really important that if you're a kid, or if you're a child, you might not think you are, you might think that you're really grown up and everything, but if you're under 18, I think you should enjoy being a kid. I think you should enjoy, hanging out with your friends, or going to a party, or going and doing stuff with your family, even going to school, meeting people, sort of networking, having friends, playing a sport, doing martial art, your first kiss, losing your virginity, whatever it is you do. I think enjoy being a kid, enjoy being a 5-year-old and playing with toys, enjoy going to the movies, enjoy eating food, enjoy staying up late, enjoy being a bit of a rebel if you go down that path. Just enjoy being a kid. Live in the moment. I think childhood, you have this really profound freedom where you can do a lot, and your parents will look after you. If your parents love you, which most of your parents will in their own way, you can do a lot. So I highly recommend, as a kid, enjoy being a kid. If you can do it, go for it, because a lot of people rush their childhoods, and I don't personally believe that's the best way to go. I think in order to have a full life, you should enjoy your childhood. You should enjoy being a kid. You should enjoy the steps of becoming sort of the adult you want to be. Because once you hit 18, you'll be an adult for the rest of your life, but that childhood, it's a one-off. You can't go back to it. It's a one-off experience, so fully enjoy it. If you're like 13 and listening to this, enjoy being 13. Don't think about being 20 or 30. Yeah, there's more freedom, but there's more responsibility. So enjoy being young. There's some really cool stuff you can do, and make your life full. Don't just sit and play video games and sort of do nothing. Go and do stuff. Go and chase cool experiences. Go and explore. Have fun. Meet cool friends. So on, so on. I think there's a lot of... I look at my childhood, and my childhood was really good. I had an awesome childhood. So I look back at it, and I have so many fond memories of that time of my life. And I definitely wasn't thinking about a lot of the things that I think of now. I was much more in the moment, much more carefree. And that's really cool. And you kind of return to that when you get old, and we'll get into that later. But at this point, carefree, enjoy your life. Do well in school and whatever. Just figure out sort of what you want to do, but don't overthink it. Just focus on enjoying your childhood. Second thing is become good at something. So for me, it was always music. As a kid, I was always good at music, and that sort of became like a bit of a personality archetype. Because you're trying to figure out who you are, and for me, I was always a musician. I was a good musician. And that helped me in a lot of ways to like meet people, to have like a label I could attach to myself. It helped with girls, it helped with making friends. It was like a skill I had, a talent I had, something I could share with people, something I could feel good about, because I was quite good. I played the piano. I was probably the best piano player in my school, and that was really powerful. And yeah, that was awesome. I really enjoyed being a musician. Then as I got a bit older, I also got into martial arts, and that sort of became my thing too. So then it was music and martial arts. Though it was music for a lot longer. Okay, and then the other one is develop your social skills. So Make friends, be social when you're a kid. If you just want to keep to yourself, I guess there's a small number of people that don't want to be around others, but if you do, make friends. Figure out what sort of group of kids you get along with. Don't worry about who's popular. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Figure out what sort of people you naturally vibe with and spend time with them. Get to know them. Same with girls. Learn how to talk to girls and learn how to get along with girls. Maybe have a girlfriend. Sort of like a teenage crush. That stuff's really fun. I think, if you imagine, I remember I had this one, I was just kissing this girl, making out with this girl on the lake. I was about 15 years old, right? Making out with this girl on the lake. And that memory is so fond, like puppy love and all that stuff. If you don't do it, you'll never be able to do it, If you don't have that teenage romance, you'll never experience a teenage... what do I say? You're never going to experience a teenage romance. So, yeah, it's a lot of power in that. Having friends, doing some stupid stuff, like it's fun. Enjoy your childhood. That's the number one thing here. Enjoy being a kid. Because you can only do it once and it's fun. It's rewarding. And yeah, no responsibility. Just carefree. It's great. So from 18 to 30, that changes. Okay? So instead of just being carefree, living in the moment, doing all this stuff I had to do as a kid, as an 18 to 30-year-old, and I haven't been the best at this in my life, but I recommend almost go down the opposite path. Become like a pure hustle monster. Grind. Become like this exceptional person, because this is like your runway to become who you want to be. If you can sort yourself out by 30, if you can be in that minority of men that do it, the rest of your life's going to be smooth sailing. You're going to have an awesome life. This is really what differentiates like successful, ambitious men who get what they want and those that don't. Or like the cliche, if you look at L-tube archetypes, like the cliche alphas and betas, the people that get what they want, the people that don't, right? So there's a few things I recommend doing during the grind 18 to 30. First one's build your body. Because a strong body, a fit body, a body that's capable of moving and explosivity and power and strength and all these things, says a lot about you. If you meet someone and you've got an impressive body, there's like an instant respect that comes to that. You might be a brilliant chess player, you might be a brilliant musician, you might be a multimillionaire, but no one knows any of this. But if you walk up with a good body, instantly, people can see that you've worked on that. There's no amount of money or whatever that can buy you that. So it's something you've had to develop. It's something you've had to put in hard work to get. So I highly recommend during this grind phase, you should have some time devoted to your body. Because this is really, you can probably get as fit as you'll ever be. If you really push your health and your fitness and stuff at young age, you're going to be able to achieve like these peak fitness and you'll look back and be so happy that you did it. I'm sort of doing it more now and I'm really happy I'm doing it. It feels really nice. I've always done martial arts and I've always done other things, but now I'm focusing on strength as well. And as I'm getting stronger, like it feels good and I'm looking better, looking fitter, looking stronger. And that's a good feeling and there's social benefits to it. I think, yeah, if you build a nice body, there's social benefits are tremendous. Your dating life improves, your networking improves, you get more respect from other men you meet, so on, so on. So I highly recommend that. Build your body. Second one, get good at something that pays. So when I'm saying 0 to 18, get good at something, now you've got to think about money. Now you've got to be more serious because we're grinding, we're building our lives. So you've got to get good at something that pays you, right? Something that pays well. You can be like the best McDonald's worker in the world and it's not going to pay you anymore. So you need to find a skill, be that like in IT or engineering or being a doctor or starting a business or whatever it is. You have to get good at something that's going to pay you good money. Ideally, you should be aiming for like the top 10% as far as wealth, which I think, just say 100,000. I don't know what it is, but say you want to aim to make like $100,000 a year at 30, which is very achievable. That's not some ridiculous, unrealistic number where you have to be like super lucky and know the right people and get the right following and so on to achieve. Like an average person, if they push themselves, can make $100,000 a year by 30. I mean, I achieved it by 24, so it's doable. Not to brag, but that's just how it is. You can do it. All right. Next one is to experiment and explore. Don't make your whole 20s about this, but there definitely should be some experimenting and exploring. That can be in a business. It could be sort of figuring out what sort of business you want to start, what sort of job you want. Yeah, just experiment. If you want to go and try different things, do it. If you want to travel, do it. But again, don't make that like the priority of your 20s to travel and experience stuff. It's going to be a part of your 20s, but it shouldn't be the primary thing. And this is the number one thing I've overly done. I've chased experience too much in my 20s. I haven't grinded enough. So I've got all these awesome experiences, like I've traveled to 26 countries and met people all over the world and had these awesome adventures, but I haven't really built anything. And that's where I'm working now, is to build something. And in retrospect, that's probably what you should spend your 20s doing. If you're location independent, you want to travel the world and build something while you travel, that's awesome. But the priority or the main focus should be building something or achieving something. Something that's going to pay you and set you up for the rest of your life. Next one is having a dating life. Now, I don't think you need to set up a serious relationship in your 20s, but you definitely should have some experience dating. Like, I think the whole get rich and strong and stuff and then start dating is a little bit of a lie, because you need game. You need to know how to seduce a girl, ask a girl out. You need to have women work, how to be around women, so on and so on. And if you don't have any game, you're just going to get walked all over. Say you're 30 and you're worth like $500,000 or something. Then all of a sudden this gold digger comes along and she absolutely games you and abuses you and takes advantage of you because you don't know how to handle a girl. You don't know how to be around women. So that can be a problem. So I recommend in your 20s, have a dating life. And at the same time, a part of that is you should have a sex life. If you're in your 20s, you should be having sex. If you're a man, you should be having sex. It should be a part of your life. You're not a Buddhist monk or any of these. You're not doing deep, deep spiritual work where you're trying to retain your sexual energy and do magic stuff with it. You're just a normal dude. If you're watching this, 99%, you're just a regular dude. So have a sex life. And the best way to have a sex life is to have a dating life. If you want to go and chase one night stands, maybe do that. But you'll realize if you do that eventually that becomes empty. And you'll want a regular partner, or maybe regular partners that you hook up with. And that could be in like a monogamous relationship or just a casual thing. I don't think it matters too much in your 20s. That's totally up to you. And the fifth thing is to network. I think the saying your network is your net worth is really, really powerful. And this is something I need to get better at too, is basically surrounding myself with people that are ahead of me in the stuff I want to get good at. Especially in business. I need to do this big time in business. And I'm finding my city is sort of limiting me in this area. But yeah, I need to get around people that are doing the sort of stuff I want to do, that are ahead of where I am. So building a network in your 20s is so powerful because that opens doors. Building relationships with people will open doors. So you should spend your whole 20s grinding, building something, making money, meeting people, like basically building yourself up as a man. And I'll explain why. Basically, as you do this, by 30, you hit this next phase, which is the male advantage. Now, the male advantage is when you peak as a man, at least in far as like your sexual market value and all of that stuff. Guys at 30. Women, they sort of start at 18 and their sexual market value sort of tails off in their early 30s. For men, I think your male advantage sort of kicks off in your late 20s, early 30s. It probably peaks in like your mid 30s to 40s. And then it sort of declines through your 40s, I reckon. 40s and 50s. By about 60, it's more or less gone. So during your male advantage, this is assuming that in your 20s, back in this period in the grind, you actually ground. You actually did the grind. If you didn't do the grind, you'll have to do it in your 30s, so you're going to be behind. But if you did it in your 20s, let's say you hit a point where you're 30, you make $100,000 a year, you've got an impressive body, you've got a lot of freedom, and you've got a cool girlfriend. Let's say you start your 30s at that point of view, right? So you've achieved some level of success because you've spent your 20s working hard. All right. First thing, enjoy the fruits of your labor. So you might want to double down. There's some people that want to hustle and make millions, but a lot of people don't. Like personally, I don't care. If I make enough money to be comfortable, like to live a comfortable middle-class sort of lifestyle, but have freedom, that's enough for me. I don't care about crazy amounts of money. I really don't. Like there'd be a number, I don't know what that number is. Say it's 150 or 200,000 a year or whatever it is, but there's definitely going to be a point where I hit a number and I'm just going to be like, I don't care. It's money. Don't really care. But I haven't hit that yet. I'm in the process of doing that. All right. So enjoy the fruits of your labor. If you've hit your financial goals, you can sort of relax and enjoy yourself and enjoy, I guess, the empire you've built yourself. Enjoy that male advantage because now you're in your peak. I think a lot of guys are on the female thing and they get to 30 and like, oh no, my life's over. But the reality is you get to 30, your life started. A 30-year-old man and an 18-year-old girl are basically in the same place as far as their sexual market value. Guy in his 20s doesn't really have anything. He's got to build it. He's got to sort of become a man. You can't, you don't just turn into a man. It's not like you're 18 and you're a man. You've got to become a man. You've got to do the things. It's a privilege to call yourself a man. A lot of men aren't really men, if that makes sense. They're sort of half men or boyish men, or just being controlled by other people, living unhappy lives. All right, next one is look for a more serious relationship. So the same as if I saw a woman that was, say, 23, I'd recommend that she looks for a more serious long-term relationship, because her ability to attract a guy is going to be at its peak in like 23, say to 23 to 28. That's going to be like her peak to find the best quality man she'll be able to find in her life, most likely. And if she doesn't do it at that point, then the quality of guys she will be able to meet will be less as she gets older. That's why you have so many women in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are sort of miserable because they can't find the kind of guy they want, and they probably can't date the sort of guy that they would date back in their 20s. That's the reality of it. As a guy, that's not how it works. As a guy, let's say like 33 to 38 sort of your time. So when you've peaked in your sexual market value, the number of women and the quality of women you're going to be able to attract is going to be the highest it will probably be in your life. So at this point, you're going to probably want to start looking for a more serious relationship. If you're planning to have kids and sort of settle down, which a lot of men in their 20s might not think about, but in their 30s, you sort of know. If you want to do it, you're going to know. You're going to get that itch to have children, that sort of paternal instinct. And yeah, it'll be really powerful, and you'll want to find the right partner to do that with. So this is really where you look for that during your male advantage, during your peak. Next one is establish a serious investment portfolio. So I think in your 20s, you can build a portfolio, but you don't really have capital. You don't really have money to put into it. Say you can put $5,000 a year into it. It's not really going to do much long term. Even with compounding, if you put like $8,000 a year in starting in your 30s, you're going to end up in the same place, right? So in your 20s, you're sort of investing in yourself. You're investing in ideas, you're exploring, you're experimenting, and money is sort of a tool for that. In your 30s, though, we're assuming that you have ground and that you're making $100,000 a year. So now you've got money to put away to build an investment portfolio. So now you can start, getting into real estate, getting into different stocks, getting into crypto, commodities, investing in businesses, doing whatever it is you want to do. But you need to invest in stuff. You need to educate yourself on this from your 30s and your male advantage. Because then basically you have money coming in and you don't have to work for it. And that's really powerful. Passive income. Right, the fourth one is tick off your bucket list. So this is what a lot of people do in their 20s, but we're assuming in your 20s you were grinding, right? You were working hard. You were trying to build yourself into like a successful, high-status guy. Now in your 30s, you can enjoy yourself. So before you settle down, because some things get harder to do when you settle down. Say you want to go and party in Copenhagen or Ibiza or something. That's harder to do when you got children. So write a bucket list and take it seriously. What do you want to do in your dating life, in your personal life, in your business life? Where do you want to travel? What sort of experiences do you want to have? Have a bucket list and just gradually tick that thing off. Go and do all the things that you want to do in your life because, yeah, it'll leave you very happy. You'll be old and be able to look back at all these fantastic memories. And then the final thing I've got here is become an expert at something. So this could be attached to your career, but it doesn't have to be. Because again, we're assuming you're making $100,000 a year. If you're really into money and want to make heaps of it, then maybe you want to be an expert at something that pays you really well. Because remember, in the 20s, I said get really good at something that pays well. In your 30s, let's say you got a job and it pays you enough, then you can get really good at something. It doesn't matter as much if it pays or not. So that's sort of the difference. So you might want to become a fantastic martial artist or a musician or something. And maybe one day that'll make you money, but it doesn't have to because your money's coming from other places. So get really good at something. Have a mission in your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to master? Because that's still going to be important throughout the whole life. It's just that that mission will probably change. So that's male advantage. So now let's say you get to the family legacy period. You're 40. So let's say you're 40, you've met the perfect girl, you've had a kid maybe, you're sort of getting into becoming more of like a family man. Again, this isn't a quiet taste. Some people don't want to do this. So if you don't want to focus on like family, you don't want to have kids, you don't want to go down that path, then it might be legacy. So it might be that you're like building something or that you're trying to achieve something and you want to leave your mark on the world. Like a family man, of course, he's leaving his mark on the world through children. When someone who doesn't choose that path, they might want to leave their mark through building something or achieving something or doing something. So that's more legacy. He's a family and legacy period. So if you want to have a family, I think late 30s, let's say 35 up, it's probably a good period. I think 35 and younger for most men is going to be too early. That's my personal opinion. But for me, I think that'd be too early. I think from about 35, you contemplate having children. Then by about 40, either you're like having your first child, or maybe you've got a child or two already, but you're really starting to settle into like a family man life. Or at least having a family and making that a priority in your life. Your mission's probably always going to be the number one, but your family's going to be very close, if not more so. I mean, these are people you die for, people you love so deeply. Like, from everyone I know who says they have kids, they say like they love their kids more than anything, more than they imagine possible. So that's a pretty beautiful thing. If you want to experience that, that's a cool thing to do in your life. Second one, think about what mark you want to leave on the world. What do you want to do? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to become an expert at something? Do you want to make music? Do you want to write something or draw something or teach something? Do you want to make a mark on a certain place? Do you want to donate to like a church or to help with poverty? Or what do you want to do? Start thinking about your legacy. Start thinking about what you're going to leave behind. And the next one I've got is relax more if you want to, because you've earned it, right? If you just sort of want to chill out more, you don't want to be as much of a hustler, sort of fine. As you get older as a man, generally your testosterone levels ease off anyway, so you're less motivated, you don't have as much energy. And if you can become more chill and not focus as much on money, and this is assuming, again, you've done the right thing, you're making 100K a year or whatever you want to make, and you've achieved all of this stuff already. You've ticked off most of your bucket list in your 30s. You've done what you want, and you're just settling now. You're just chilling. You're cruising. You're enjoying your life. And I think 40 to 60 is fine. A lot of people say that like 40 is old to have kids. I disagree. Like, if you've raised your kids at 60, you still might have decades more. Like, you might live to 70, 80, 90. If you live to 90, then that's another 30 years after your kids are grown up. So that's amazing. I mean, that's a long time. That's some really deep stuff. So yeah, that's my opinion of that. You can have your family and do that sort of 40s to 60s. That gives you a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. And finally, this is 60 plus. You've got spiritual and transcendence. This is where I'm going a bit deeper. But once you're old, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I get old and I die. Like, I get old and I fade away and I die. But there is a mission here, I think, for men, which is going to be spirituality and transcendence. A lot of young men aren't interested in this, you know, and those that are usually don't grind. So a lot of the men that are into spirituality, they skip this grind phase and they just sort of hang out and cruise and do this sort of stuff, like 40 to 60 family legacy, or this sort of stuff, which they can't really do fully because they haven't gone through the grind. But once you get to this level, assuming you've done everything you want to do in your life and you're happy, you're cruising, you're sort of laid back at this point, you can set your purpose and mission more internally. You're not really trying to conquer the world as much. You're getting older now, you're like 60 years old. You can focus more on spirituality. So I recommend develop some kind of spiritual practice. That could be like meditation or yoga, self-inquiry, philosophy, whatever it is, shamanism, just whatever interests you. You can go and explore spiritual stuff. And I think there's a lot of fear around death. There's a lot of worry about death. In the West, we hide from death. And spirituality can really help you with the idea of dying. Because we don't look at it like the West, we're afraid of it. People are scared of death, so they hide from it. If you have a spiritual practice and you get into the deeper stuff in life, you go like into the deep end, then you can really see things that would blow your mind. Because yeah, spirituality will make you at peace around death. If you get to certain levels, you realize how connected everything is, and a lot of these little fears, they go away. You won't really be worried about death and things like that. You'll just see it as a part of life because everything's cyclic, everything comes and goes. Then also, think about what you want to do before you die. So is there anything else you want to experience in this life? Is there anything else you want to do? Because this is sort of like your last chance. If you don't do it now, then you'll die and you won't do it in this life. So you need to figure out if it's, what do you want to do? Is there anything else you want to do? Assuming you've ticked off your bucket list, you've traveled, you've had that grind phase, you've done all this stuff, you've built your body, you can look back on your life and just see this amazing experience, and you're just so blessed for everything that happened, right? But is there anything else sort of wandering in your mind? Did you want to write a book? Did you want to travel to a place? Did you want to go and meet a person? Whatever. Is there anything else like lingering around in your mind that you want to do? And then the last one is enjoy the twilight years. So I think when you're 60 plus, you really can just relax if you want to. Like, ideally, if you've done all the grind stuff and you've built your life properly, you could retire at this point. You don't need to work. if you've done all the right things, money at this point just comes in. You don't need to work for it. You don't need to worry about it, right? So you can just enjoy the twilight years. Just enjoy your life. Get in a van, drive around your country. Ideally, you've probably got a partner that you settle down with and enjoy them. Go places with them, spoil them, enjoy them. They're probably a bit older too because you've raised a family together, so you're really in love and connected. And just enjoy this beautiful sunset to your life. Reflect on your life, reflect on the experiences you've had, and yeah, just overall enjoy the end of the story. Yeah, enjoy everything. Enjoy every meal. You don't have as much time at this point, so just enjoy food, enjoy making love, enjoy going for a walk in the bush, enjoy sitting and breathing and swimming, going swimming in the ocean, hiking in the mountains. Become really mindful. Mindfulness is really powerful. Have a nice gratitude journal, so on and so on. And then eventually you'll just fade out into the void. It's a beautiful thing. And if you have a spiritual practice, that fading out into the void sort of becomes a beautiful part of life. It's not something to be afraid of. It's something to look forward to. Look forward to the end of the story. Enjoy it. Feel the catharsis, the outpouring of emotion. Look back over your life and see all the beautiful things you've done. All the experiences you've had. Because if you've done all of this stuff, you've probably lived a fantastic life that probably only 1% of men will live. And that's amazing. So if you gained anything from this video, give it a like. Comment what you think about this. I think this is personally how I'm planning to live my life, and I think it's going to be a beautiful ride. And of course, I can't control. Something might happen. Things can go wrong. This is assuming that nothing goes wrong. But yeah, this would be a beautiful experience. So comment what you think. Share it with someone you think it'd help, because I try and put a lot of thought, especially into these presentations. They're not just random off-the-cuff videos like the other stuff I do. These ones are thought out. I put time and effort into this. I try to make videos that I know are going to help people. So if you gained from it, peace out and enjoy the rest of your day.